What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Samuel Richards here, Common Sense Bodybuilding, and today we're going to be talking about a major barrier to growth, which is less discussed on social media, probably because people are a little bit fragile about the topic. Not me, of course. You know, we're all about transparency here. So today I'm going to be going into one of the major barriers that's left undiscussed to your growth. Before I do that, I'm going to quickly give you a rundown of my history and why this topic is so important, or why I've seen the change that I've seen. First of all, where did I start? I started dirt poor, living in a mate's house, working out on the street, doing pull-ups on street lamps, eating pasta and tuna, if I could afford the tuna, and generally speaking, a less than optimal approach. Luckily for me, all I was looking to do initially was diet down and lose the man boobs and the belly, and that was fairly easy to accomplish on that kind of financial restriction. But as I grew and grew and grew and started to transfer lessons from bodybuilding into my general life, my financial situation improved, and that started to cause some changes that I've been noticing lately. So what's the main barrier to growth? You may have guessed it. It's finances. It's financial freedom. But why is this a major barrier, and why do I feel the need to make a whole video about it and discuss it when you're there going, well, I can't help my financial situation, but maybe you can? First of all, let's talk about diet. So diet, as I mentioned, my diet was pretty damn poor. Now, starting out, really going from a normal everyday diet to a bodybuilding diet that's majorly budgeted isn't the biggest of problems. You're probably still going to get more macronutrients in a bodybuilding orientated diet with a dirt cheap limit on food than on a normal person's diet. That's just standard. Broccoli's cheap. You can get some micronutrients, right? But the fact of the matter is, in the grand scheme of things for muscle building, you need way more than that. The more money that you earn, the more you can invest into your food. My diet personally has gone from £80 every couple of weeks to about £200 every couple of weeks. Yes, that's a two-person household. That is still a budget bodybuilding diet for me, but I also shop quite savvily, so I can get away with it. And to be honest, my cupboards are pretty damn full. But I've gone from that tuna and pasta diet to grass-fed steak and extra finest beef mince and salmon and all those kinds of foods, which are going to give me a variety of nutrients, are going to give me a variety of benefits, and which are going to mean that, generally speaking, I'm both not going to get bored of food, my body's going to be less likely to be deficient in anything that comes from those different food sources. You might be saying, yes, but you can still supplement, and that's correct, but you're not going to absorb all of those supplements, and supplements do not do exactly the same job. You can't just do that, otherwise we would all be eating food pills. One day maybe we will be, but until that point, it's just not transferable. And at the end of the day, supplements cost money too. Odds are, probably more. So diet is majorly restricted by budget. And yes, you can be clever and you can vary up your vegetable sources and such, but for example, when you're on a bulk, those more convenient, denser forms of micronutrients aren't so available. And even if you're looking into supplementation, a comprehensive supplement stack to counteract the fact that you don't have that variety in your diet is still going to be financially out of reach. My supplement stack maybe used to cost me £20 a month before. Some protein, some creatine, and some multivitamins. Now, it's a lot more. Let's move on to training. How is this restricted? Well, not so much, but it depends on your distance to a decent gym. Myself personally, I've got a big commercial gym that's in the town near me. Financially speaking, yeah, it's a bus ride, so it's some money, but the gym membership is so cheap it doesn't really matter. Luckily for me, that gym has decent equipment and, I can stack up some weights pretty damn well, but I'm still restricted even with a very good commercial chain gym. So if you're in an average or poor commercial chain gym, chances are you're going to have some limitations on your training. Now, this isn't a major factor, but again, all of these issues are small percentages which add up to create massive changes years down the road. If I have the money to take an Uber to King's Gym in Croydon and train there, if I had that money every single day, I would grow far faster than I do currently. That's my personal opinion, because the environment, in my opinion, translates so much to your training. Unless you're mentally capable of completely detaching yourself from the circumstances and your surroundings, which I'm fairly good at, but it's still damn hard, then you're going to grow better in a bodybuilding atmosphere, somewhere you're pushed by visuals of other people chasing their goals, massive guys, people that you aim to look like one day, rather than people who look like you were a few years ago and you've got nobody to really look up to. Now, the last two factors are major in my opinion, and exactly the main reasons why finances are a main barrier to entry. If you're looking at competitive bodybuilding, chances are you're looking at anabolics becoming enhanced. On the surface, anabolics are cheap. Oh God, I love those phrases. It's 25 quid for a vial of test. Best fucking investment I ever made. Yeah, and that's how it starts. But then you're forgetting a few factors. First of all, no matter how early you are in the game, you need blood tests. Let's say you're on a budget. You can only afford to get one before, one after. That's 2 blood tests. A blood panel, on average, cost me between 100 and 150. That's 200 to 300 pounds per cycle. That's probably double what you're paying for your testosterone dose. So, you've already tripled the cost of your stack. On-cycle support. The cheapest on-cycle support, in my opinion, is what I'm taking. Probably telmisartan, some heart supplements, and some liver/kidney supplements, or an all-round cycle support supplement if needs be. Well, that's going to cost you probably £30 a month, then the telmisartan is going to cost you another 30, so we're talking £60. So there you go. You're talking over a 12-week cycle about the same as the blood tests. So we're up to about £500 so far. Now that's just for a beginner's cycle. For a first cycle, running 250 to 500 tests, whatever the hell you're running. What happens when you get further down the road? Well, first of all, you can't just keep your cycle the same, and it's not very wise to just increase your testosterone dose because it's cheap. So you're going to want to introduce other compounds. Well, cheap and effective, what are you left with? 19 NORs, pretty much. And that means that you're going to be taking the biggest health risks you possibly can in the world of anabolics extremely early. If you had the financial freedom, you could run something like Primobolan, or, you could run something like Mastron maybe. You could afford to use slower compounds which are going to pack on mass over a long extended period of time. That maybe on average will cost you a bit more, will yield similar-ish results, but will do it in a much safer or controlled way. You could even venture into growth hormone. You can venture into these other pathways which spread out the risk and don't just pummel the androgen receptor on repeat. This is exactly the reason why I've chosen to start using growth hormone. It spreads my risk, it gives me a compounded benefit over years and years and years of growth, and it improves my quality of life, my ability to rest, recover, my hair, skin, nails, loads of issues growth is proven to help with, even if short term it doesn't have the same payoff. So yeah, it's a nice to have. But when you're talking about trying to become a competitive pro bodybuilder, nice to have suddenly become pretty damn important. We're talking a game of percentages here, so don't dismiss what I'm saying and just go, yeah, but that's not on my agenda quite yet. Well, you'd be surprised how much of a difference starting these things earlier could make to your journey. Think about compound interest. You reinvest the interest into the same investment accounts, then you start earning the interest on the interest. That's what I see using a safer use model, being able to introduce stuff like growth hormone, training at a better gym, having a better diet can do. The sooner you achieve these things, the sooner these percentages add up, and over time that percentage makes so much more of a difference. You've got 5 years maybe, 3 years maybe, 2 years maybe, even 1 year maybe of having a 10% more effective plan. And that's just going to make the world of difference. 10% is a huge margin. And we've already touched on it, but health is a major one too. So if you're trying to do this optimally, you can add another blood test into the mix. You need to get an ECG or an EKG or an fMRI. An ECG in the UK can cost between £150 and £350 per time. If you want to do that once a year, that might only be once a year, but it's still a considerable cost. Moving on, we've got competitions, coaching. Competitions cost a fuck ton on their own. Think about the cost of the drug stack. Think about the cost of competition entry, your attire, your tanning, any photos that you want. All these kind of things add up and up and up. Posing, training, whatever it might be. You've got a huge cost attached to competitions which nobody's quite prepared for, and even with my fairly comfortable financial situation, I was still not for six sometimes thinking, oh, there goes another 50 quid. And on top of that, you've got coaching. So minimum you may be paying £100 a month for a coach. That's quite a lot. So as you add it up, you've got the most efficient form of bodybuilding which has all of these factors at near optimal. Then you've got the least efficient. The price difference between these two are maybe, I don't know, say for a cycle of a bodybuilder who's not competitive, basic testosterone, maybe you're talking £100, and then at minimum maybe you get one blood test, so £200 maybe. Maybe you do cycle support, so that's another £30 or £90 over the cycle. So you're talking £300. There we go. 3 months, £300, £100 a month. That's my average guess for a minimally safe way of doing anabolic steroids for a first time. Now we're going to add all these up, and you're probably talking closer to 1,000, if not far more. This is why you see influencers who are so out of fucking touch. This is why you see people who blow up over the course of a year, because they have the money, the financial freedom, the ability to make all these factors optimal straight away. You don't have that. Maybe that'll take you 3 years, and then suddenly you're like, oh, this suddenly I've blown up. It must be this thing I introduced. And it's not just that thing. It's the compounding of all the factors over time that you've slowly been able to add in and increase. And recently, my progress has been absolutely sky fucking high compared to years past. And that's due to the fact that I had a coach. That's due to the fact that I'm now running a more effective and safer cycle. I'm now activating the growth hormone pathway. I'm now eating way better. I'm now training pretty fucking optimally. I'm taking all the health supplements I possibly can and keeping my body at 100%. All of these things combined are going to make you healthier, happier, and a better bodybuilder. It's not all about your hormone levels. Being deficient in health factors is going to have an impact on your body negatively. So it's not all about the gross positives. It's about the net positives once you take off those negative factors that are restricting you because of your financial situation. Now, I'm not here to blast the fucking poor. I have only just stopped paying off a 5-figure level of debt from a gambling addiction. I have lived on the most ridiculous budgets. I'm talking £10 a week for food, best case scenario. Not paying my rent, not paying everything, you know. I was in a terrible situation, but this is one of the things that people really underestimate, and it's why it's really important that people don't just run into this lifestyle and think you're going to make it overnight. It takes years and years of work, and as you would have seen throughout my channel, my content quality has improved because I've been able to financially afford the equipment to make it improve, and even then, a lot of it's on loans. My laptop's on a loan through work. My camera is on a loan through work. I'll be upgrading it next year on a loan through work. You know, I have these capabilities because I've reinvested those skills that bodybuilding has given me into my career. I'm more assertive. I research. I make sure that I am the smartest person in the room within reason. I've taken the confidence and the discipline that bodybuilding has given me to be able to achieve new heights in my career. And yes, that means that my bodybuilding isn't always at 100%. At times it's been at like 10% of my effort and output level. I pushed it right to the side. But guess what? If I'd have stayed consistent, it would have made my work suffer. If it would have made my work suffer, I would not be in the financial situation I am today. And that financial situation allows me to be around 100%, not 100%, 80% effective, let's say, in my bodybuilding, and still 80% effective at work. Whereas before, it was pretty much 100-0 or 100-0. Those were my options. So don't be afraid to step back, to invest in yourself, to focus on the things that are going to enable you to make this a career, because it's not going to happen overnight unless you're very rich and have a trust fund to make it happen. Anyway, this is a bit of a rant, but it's just something which I feel like a lot of people neglect. It's something which I feel is really overlooked, and I really want to encourage everyone to have a look at their financial situation at the very least before they start the route of enhancement, because this is something which is a major barrier to entry to both health, rate of growth, and loads of other factors. If you're doing this and it's going to take you longer because you don't have the money to utilize more pathways for growth or better compounds or whatever it might be, then that's going to mean that you've got a longer period of exposure. On top of that, your financial situation is going to mean that you're using harsher compounds. So you've got a longer period of exposure to harsher compounds. On top of that, you're not getting health checks because you can't afford them. So you can quickly see how not being financially free and pursuing enhanced bodybuilding could be an absolute detriment to your health. You're probably not going to find out you've got an issue until you've had it for about 6, 9, 12 months. You're more likely to have an issue because of how you're financially able to use anabolics and enhancement. Your diet's not going to be able to keep your health in check. You're not going to be able to introduce supplements to counteract health issues as and when they occur because you don't have the financial freedom to drop 30, 40 pounds on something like telmisartan or, something like another ARB or a statin or metformin, whatever it is you need to introduce. Make sure to invest in your whole self, not just one pathway. I'd love to be able to say this is like the 70s and 80s where you could jack it all in, move to California and live on a shoestring budget. But the truth is, unless you're a genetic elite who already has access to some pretty damn cheap pharma-grade pharmaceuticals, I'm afraid that's not how it works anymore. You've got to grind, you've got to work your ass off for a long period of time. And to do so, you're going to need a little bit of help financially. Invest now. and see the rewards later. Look, it's a bit of a different one. This is completely off the cuff, unscripted. I just wanted to dive into this topic. If you like this content, like, subscribe, click that bell for more content like this and more common sense bodybuilding tips. If you want any questions for the Q&A, drop them in the comment section below. We've got some great content coming to you over the next couple of weeks. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.